data is the new oil, right? And data is as important as salt was in those days or oil is in these days. The way we use data these days is we collect it, number one. We collect all kinds of data, demographic data of a patient, the clinical outcomes of a patient, what's the journey of a patient, what are the preconditions of the patient, and all that, right? And how is that going to get used? Very importantly, patient data, when collected, is going to help our governments because it is going to give us an epidemiological evidence of what is required and where resources should be used. It is going to help develop treatment protocols and make them even better. We have some treatment protocols in place, but they're going to get even better because of the data we collect and how it got influenced. It's going to influence diagnostics because we are going to know how diagnostics are more important, right? Or what is required to preempt disease. Data is going to help us do that. It is going to help insurance companies to figure out how to do the right selection. Of course, there are some risks of this data causing some deselections and some risks of that kind, but I'm sure we'll be able to mitigate them and use them constructively. So Medicube is a very technologically advanced company. Given our venture capitals being from the Silicon Valley, we have a lot of access to high-end technologies. So it was always thought of being a highly technical company. Everything that we do around patient data is HIPAA compliant according to the US guidelines. We follow GDPR guidelines of Europe, right? So we make sure that the privacy of data is extremely important to us. And all, whether it's our app or it's our portal or it's our internal systems, are all following the guidelines available for data security. Well, we are becoming very focused on patient-centric care. We say we are focused on patient-centric care. However, we are not able to communicate that to the powers that be and our patients, right? Whilst the healthcare systems are clinically very excellent. However, there is something missing somewhere where we are not able to communicate that, right? And then there is a lot of hype around pricing and high costs, which the government is trying to create some kind of caps and trying to do unilateral decisions on pricing. The media is picking it up and really putting it out of place. So as a system, healthcare is being targeted, which I think is completely unfair, by the way, because like I mentioned before, I think most of the healthcare systems are really managing it very well. They are clinically excellent. We as a company are trying to provide the thing that we think is missing, which is coordination. And coordination will prove to everybody how excellent the system is, right? And hopefully once that gap gets filled, we'll all be okay. But I personally think, we were taught when we became doctors, first do no harm, right? I don't think the hospitals are doing any harm or doctors are doing any harm. I think the media and the government also needs to understand that. Most certainly, the answer is yes. If you want me to expand on that. So I think the way our leaders so-called are behaving are managers actually. So there are three aspects of management. There is upward management, there is sideways management, and there's downward management, right? There are two things wrong in what I said. I deliberately said it, right? The first thing wrong is the way I put it. Upward management first, right? And downward management later. And the second thing wrong in that is management and not leadership, right? So what are we doing today? We are either managing upwards, which means we are taking care of what the boss is saying, right? Or we are managing sideways, which we are trying to influence our peers and trying to win some debates with our peers. And then we are managing our staff, right? The way I think it needs to work and the way I think I have worked all my life and continue to work right now is, number one, you can differ with people you report into, right? There has to be a healthy difference. You don't have to manage them. You've got to look up to them, you've got to get inspired by them, and you've got to have healthy arguments. As far as peers are concerned, like managing sideways, how do you lead sideways is by having a healthy dialogue. Talk to them. right? And escalate only when required. But healthy dialogue and clarity of thought makes that a very good platform, right? And then as far as staff is concerned, I think I'll lead my team, mentor them, take care of them, talk to them, be empathetic towards them, yet inspire them to do what they're doing. So lead the team, not manage the team. So I think, yes, there is a lot of leadership missing, whilst there's a lot of management available. I try my best to not do any management in my company. I try and lead the company. I try and make sure that I'm leading by example and I'm leading from downwards. So I think one most important thing is people do need to, number one, see the difference between management and leadership and try to become good leaders rather than good managers. That in itself will create a lot of stability in the internal system. Then I think somewhere we need to, as a healthcare system, get united and cast a united front towards outside healthcare agencies, whether it is government or it's media or it's regulations or it's insurance companies or anywhere, right? Because I think healthcare is doing a great job and they should be able to portray that. So united front is what we should present. Number third, I think we should spend a lot of resource in doing coordination where we actually end up being able to explain to the patient or share with the patient and the community on the good that we're doing. I think a lot of it is getting missed out, right? So most importantly, we need to recognize the gaps and then make a lot of efforts in filling them.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.